Hi, my name is Adrian Want, and I'm the founder of Trueverse. I'm super excited to be here today to tell you a little bit more about the metaverse, but not just the metaverse in itself, but rather how audiences can engage in the metaverse and talk a little bit about the future of digital publishing. What does that world look like from an engagement perspective, audience perspective, and what type of activations brands can participate in order to reach new audiences, but most importantly, to expand their brand presence across virtual and digital worlds. Um, so to kick it off, first and foremost, I just wanted to go over the definition of the metaverse. I know that we all heard so many definitions about the metaverse, and a lot of people, mostly consumers, are still pretty confused. Everybody's wondering, where is the metaverse? How did I get into the metaverse? What makes up the metaverse? So one way, in a simpler way to look at what the metaverse is, besides this incredible and romantic idea that has been described almost like sci-fi like idea, it really is the next iteration of the internet. In other words, in today's world, we consume content, entertainment, we make purchases, we engage with in live streams just via the internet, and that's happening in two dimensions, in a two-dimensional world. Moving into the metaverse is simply is and the next iteration where the content and the experiences that we engage with basically happen in 3D virtual environments or also augmented reality. That's simply what it is. And so what will make up the metaverse, this thing called so-called the metaverse, it will be the interconnection of these virtual environments that are being created not only by big organizations, but multiple startup or gaming companies, will be when this network or ecosystem of virtual worlds become interconnected. And obviously, there's a lot of technologies that will come into play to make that happen so that people can move seamlessly, the users can move seamlessly from one environment to one experience, as we do in the virtual world. Now, this virtual environment will basically, what would it look like? Well, depending on the industry, they could look like, for instance, like a shopping mall. They could look like a virtual office space. They could look like a hospital, what we tend to call digital twins of actual physical buildings. But they could also look like gaming-like experiences, or perhaps even beautiful architectural places where you can come and gather with people and communities based on a topic or a theme, where you can discover content, communities, and also you can even discover products and services. But to give you an illustration of this sort of idea, let's just roll the tape and play the demo for Trueverse.
Welcome to Trueverse, the future of men's editorial publishing, reimagined for the metaverse. As a purpose-driven platform, Trueverse provides male audiences with virtual spaces and diverse content focused on practical knowledge, self-care, and transformative experiences, all built to impact the quality of life positivity. Let's explore the features that make Trueverse unique. Accessing Trueverse is easy, convenient, and browser-based, with no need for special VR devices. The platform can be securely accessed from anywhere with single sign-on. Built on the powerful gaming engine Unreal 5, Trueverse offers photorealistic virtual environments with awe-inspiring visuals. We've also integrated Ready Player Me avatars, ensuring cross-world interoperability and allowing you to customize your virtual persona to fit your unique style. At Trueverse, you'll find an exciting fusion of content, e-commerce, and community. Explore Trueverse's virtual environments, where you'll find seamless content spread across different formats and topics. Text, images, videos, and audio, everything is placed in a relevant virtual context, enriching your immersive experience. Discover a sanctuary for wellness-related content in the Zen Garden. Connect with experts, listen to insightful presentations, and meet like-minded community members who share your passion for improving well-being. Users can easily purchase products and discover new brands contextually or thematically placed within the platform's environments. Engage in real-time conversations with proximity-based spatial audio, just like you would in the real world. As you move closer to others, their voices become clearer, creating a truly immersive and interactive experience. This is just one of among 30 other interactive features. Teleport into the heart of Trueverse with a simple click, and you'll find yourself in the beautifully designed home environment. Explore food and nutrition-related content, join events around the kitchen table, and seamlessly discover and purchase the latest products integrated into each room. Now let's talk about the exciting video features that make Trueverse a unique VR experience. The live streaming video feature lets you watch event-based, expert and creator-driven real-time presentations, giving you the content you love from your favorite creators in an intimate setting. Our avatar video feature lets you engage in face-to-face conversations with others. Discover classes, new shows, and movies all placed in beautifully built environments. There's no better place to watch newly released content that informs, inspires, and entertains. Thank you for joining us on this Trueverse product demo. We hope you're as excited as we are about the immersive features, diverse content offerings, and engaging experiences that Trueverse brings. Visit our website and become part of the Trueverse community today. Welcome to the future of men's editorial publishing.
So now that you've seen the video of the demo of Trueverse, that kind of showcases one of the ways in which communities can come together based on different topics, and can be, for instance, in the case of Trueverse, is a very, very specific, very targeted virtual reality experience where that caters to diverse global male audiences, or kind of reimagines the world of digital publishing for the metaverse in 3D. One of the things is that, we always talk about, we talk about this metaverse concept, but what really makes up the metaverse in terms of technologies and things like that. And not only is an ecosystem that sort of eventually will be connected or interconnected from one world to the other one, but most importantly is all the technologies, the underlying technologies that sort of give access to these virtual worlds, but most importantly, the building blocks of the actual metaverse. So we see an intersection of multiple technologies, whether it's 3D technologies, goggles in which people can actually access the metaverse or the virtual worlds. The virtual worlds can also be accessed via browsers. So there's a lot of companies that are building either both virtual worlds, meaning to be accessed simply by a browser, or can be accessed and deliver the experience through virtual reality goggles or smart glasses. And then there's also technologies that enable interaction within the metaverse. So we're going to start seeing the ability to purchase products within virtual environments, which some of them are virtual assets, also known as NFTs. This will allow people to not only to purchase assets, whether they're virtual or in the physical world, but at the same time to be able to carry those assets from one environment to another one. And this is kind of brings in a new idea, which is the idea of interoperability, which is the idea to basically move seamlessly from one environment, virtual environment or world, to another one, but at the same time being able to carry your identity to take it along with you from one place to another. And then not only your identity as a human, but also financial identity, which means if I move and I set up my account in one virtual world, I'll be able to actually go ahead and purchase with the same information seamlessly without having to recreate a new account, recreate an avatar, and go and do purchases in different places. Anyway, so intersection of various technologies. We talk about blockchain technology to powering virtual wallets. We're looking at 3D technologies to power virtual environments, and then at the same time, augmented reality to power mixed reality experiences, which at the end of the day, they are experiences where we overlay virtual reality on top of the real world. So with that said, we're going to move on to the next section. And just to kind of set a framework of what's been happening in the last 2 years. We know one of the things that when it comes to the metaverse, there was a hype about 2 years ago when Meta made the announcement about their endeavor and, starting to invest heavily in the metaverse as being the next thing for them. But then at the same time, for some reason, from a PR perspective, this had a kind of negative aspect because there was a lot of noise being made about the metaverse, but then all of a sudden almost like died, and then kind of got overshadowed by artificial intelligence. And one of the things is some people not only in the industry, but consumers, they almost think that the metaverse has died. And the reality is the metaverse hasn't died because it has not been born to begin with. What we're having right now, we are at the very, very beginning of this ideas called the metaverse, and which has not been fully crystallized. So we are at the phase in where the internet was back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, where things were being constructed, where things were being built. So right now there are a lot of, people are trying to find the ideal case studies, the ideal application, not only for consumers, but at the same time for brands. And also really understanding the sort of the needs, the voids in the marketplace. Why do we need virtual reality in the first place? Why do we need augmented reality experience in the first place? So in that process, what we're seeing is companies like Meta and even Apple, they have been not only creating virtual experiences. In the case of Meta, has created Horizon World, but at the same time, they're also powering the accessibility through goggles, virtual goggles, or smart devices, so that people can actually consume and have a different experience. And then most recently, one of the things that we've seen in the last conference by Meta is that not only they introduced a new version of their Quest devices, but most importantly, I think it painted a very, very good picture and gave a much better idea of what the true metaverse is going to truly be. And I think that was very helpful, not only from a PR perspective, but at the same time, I think it is helping the entire industry to get a better grasp of what the metaverse could be and the opportunities. And that comes with the integration of artificial intelligence into virtual environments. And so things are starting to become much more crystallized and much more digestible for people, for brands, and for investors at the same time. What is this thing so-called the metaverse? So when we're now seeing not only much more sophisticated devices, but we also now actually seeing this more as a much more reality, and that will have use for different cases. And I think that's very, very important. And then obviously by positioning and presenting virtual devices or goggles, if you will, it makes it easier for people to sort of say, this is one way that I can actually access this thing so-called the metaverse and get experiences that really truly feel three-dimensional and provide not only entertainment, but at the same time, it really is able to showcase a lot of possibilities, not only in the mixed reality world or augmented reality world, but at the same time for the endless possibilities that the virtual reality bring to the table for consumers. So as I said, we've seen, the Meta Quest 3 and Apple Vision Pro, very highly sophisticated devices that they continue to improve, not only from a technology perspective, but at the same time, we need to start talking about content. What kind of content, what kind of experience these devices are going to push for consumers. So one of the things is, this is where opportunities come into play. So if you are a publisher of content, namely, just any digital publisher that pushes media out, whether it's, sports or entertainment content, this presents an incredible opportunity for this digital publishing companies to sort of reimagine and reinvent themselves and provide a much more engaging experience for consumers. So, one of the things that we've seen through this presentation of basically these new devices is that they have, as I said, they have better crystallized this idea of the metaverse by bringing in together virtual reality technologies, bringing together augmented reality augmented reality and artificial intelligence and generative AI products into it, where users can actually interact with pilots, where they can interact with AI assistants, and at the same time, they presented ideas where actual talent, artists, and celebrities have created their avatars, and their actually users can interact with them depending on the content category these content creators or celebrities represent. So they have done partnership with musicians, with celebrities, like for instance, like sports celebrities, cook shocks and chefs, and different people, so that if you're interested in different content category, you can actually engage with them through virtual reality. One of the persons that they did a partnership with them is Paris Hilton. Obviously, this is very interesting that these celebrities are taking virtual personas on, and they're not really utilizing their names. They have their virtual names and their virtual personality. But so one of the key takeaways from this, sort of recent presentations in the marketplace, as we've seen when we talk about trends and what's happening in this world, is that, well, first and foremost, this time around, as I said, we got a much, much better idea and clear vision of what the metaverse is supposed to be. And clearly, it is an intersection of virtual reality, AI, and immersive versus metaverse technologies, right? So when we talk about immersive technologies, we do see things like avatars and holograms, and then an infusion of AI to not only generative AI, not only to have users engage with different, as I say, chatbots or assistants that will get tons of responses or interaction with celebrities and their avatars. But at the same time, what we're seeing a lot is mixed reality, and which brings an incredible unification between the physical world and the virtual world. And that's something that has tremendous potential, because the reality is we already are, in a way, interacting in two separate ways, right? We're interacting with the digital world on a daily basis on our computers, on our phone. And then obviously we still interacting, and I'm so happy about that. We're still interacting with the physical world and with people, but merging those technologies, overlaying those two technologies together, it really brings not only overlaying information, but at the same time, is a very powerful tool for visualization, whether it's of ideas, architecture, or for instance, just to give you a simple example, let's say you are on a tour in a different country, and you want to learn about the history of the Colosseum. Let's say you're in Rome. You can have access through an overlay of images and information, access to what happened, or the history about the Colosseum, for instance, and with no problems. So, and then obviously have access about the surrounding areas and so forth. So that's one great of using these incredible technologies. Now, the only thing what I'm seeing a little bit of sort of on the downside, and this is very common with big technology companies, is this loop, this ecosystem that it's being created so that you stay within their products and platforms. And from my personal opinion is, obviously this is something that Apple has done very, very well with their products and services, and Meta does it through their different products, whether it's a messaging product, Facebook or Instagram. You sort of are locked into their ecosystem. And the reality, I think that people will want to have experienced more things outside of those two ecosystems when it comes to virtual reality. And so that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we in the industry who are building out this new experiences, that we provide compelling content, compelling experiences, so that users are not just limited to one type of virtual reality experience. Because the reality is the metaverse is designed to be more of a interconnections of virtual reality worlds and not just one type of world. And then one of the things that we continue to see is artificial intelligence everywhere. embedded into virtual reality, and that should come to no surprise to anybody. It actually makes perfect sense, and I do have to give great credit to Meta for really bringing together these two technologies in a way that present usability for the users. So we're going to continue to see in virtual reality metaverse generative AI, not only for written content or voice-driven content, but at the same time for ability to construct virtual reality worlds based on the prompts and the things that you want to build out. So it's not just going to be audio-based; it's going to be image-based and video-based virtual reality world. Let's see, I already talked about celebrity partnerships through avatars, AI studios, Llama 2, which is basically, it's their version of ChatGPT in terms of creativity. Anyway, and devices, as I already talked a little bit about ProQuest 3, which is an incredible virtual reality device, presents opportunities for mixed reality overlays. And they have you're able to actually place 3D objects. This is really cool for when it comes to visualization. If you're in an environment, you can actually place different virtual 3D objects, and then they have improved in their technologies in terms of the quality of the lenses and the resolution of the images and so on and so forth. And so that's a great way of experiencing what's called spatial computing. And then the other thing that we're starting to see is, again, Meta has done a partnership with Ray-Ban to create smart glasses. Basically, one of the challenges that continues in terms of adoption of these new technologies is the fact that now you're presented with this really big and almost heavy goggles, and it's like, how do we drive adoption not only from a pricing perspective that will give accessibility, but at the same time, how comfortable these devices are. So there's a little bit of challenges that the industry is facing in terms of content accessibility. That's what is so hyper important right now, that in order to drive user adoption, is that these platforms are available via browser. So moving on to the next slide, where we talk a little bit about the future. So when it comes to virtual reality, obviously we're going to start seeing a lot of the things that we interact with on a daily basis, whether it's entertainment, concerts, live performances, and pretty much any content publishing is going to start slowly moving towards virtual reality, not only as an extension of what they actually offer from a content perspective, but at the same time, creating almost like a new breed of content and experiences, and a different way of delivering storytelling, which is very important. They also are going to behave as an extension of IPs. So in other words, if you are a movie studio or if you're a TV studio, that obviously you're sitting on a library of incredible amounts of content. The same applies to digital publishing. There's many ways that you can actually bring back to life a lot of the content library that these media organizations have, and extend also their IP to virtual reality, which will provide new ways of monetizing their content, and new revenue streams as well, and distribution. And then so when media companies start doing that, expanding their actual IPs into virtual reality, the advertising dollars and monetization of that content will come into play. One of the things that you also hear in the industry, people are trying to sort of figure out what is the best monetization model for virtual reality. And I think is, besides the lessons learned from the gaming world, there's also a lot of great lessons that people can take actually from the world of advertising, media and branded content monetization, product placement, and reimagine all that in virtual reality. And then as far as delivering actual advertisement and things like that, the whole industry of programmatic, which is basically delivering media assets or advertisement assets through automation will have to be rethink from so many levels, from a standards perspective, but at the same time, how do we distribute virtual assets across different ecosystems and different virtual worlds? Let's see what other things that I could talk about. So one of the things is that, as I said, some people think that this thing so-called the metaverse is dead. It is not dead at all by any means. Investments continue to actually happen. And we're seeing, for instance, one of the things that the investment in the industry continues to grow. So we've seen from a market perspective of the metaverse, the CAGR for this year has been a 44%. For instance, in 2022, it generated about $65 billion, and which is a surge to the $94 billion in 2023, which we're closing this year. So we continue to see the revenue for the metaverse to continue to grow, which is super exciting. So because of that growth, we can actually infer that not only there will be increasing competition, but at the same time, we're seeing that there's a lot of much more consumer interest in this. A lot of it is focused on the gaming side of things, but now brands are continuing to not only invest, especially luxury brands, sort of much more premium experiences are the areas, and education and retail. Those are areas where we're starting to see a lot of investment sectors, whether it's from computer and IT perspective. Those are sort of the industries that are supporting the ecosystem of or cloud services, for instance, support the ecosystem of powering experiences, metaverse experience, education, and then finance and marketing. We're seeing an increase between 11 and 10%. Education about 12%. Educational content. It's a great way of leveraging the tools that the metaverse gives you, because it gives you the opportunity to simulate scenarios and also distribute content to people across the world in a much more dynamic and interactive way. And then the medical sector, the health sector, and as well as travel and hospitality, construction and transport. Those are the areas that we're going to start seeing a lot of investment. We're already seeing it. Anything that sort of duplicates the real world, or twins the real world, but also you have to have a usability. And we're seeing these areas, as I already said, education, finance, marketing, and advertising. Those are areas that's where a lot of money is going into it. Now, when it comes to audiences and engagement, it's very interesting what we're seeing. Gen Zers obviously are leading because of, obviously, they're digital natives, but at the same time, they're sort of over-indexed when it comes to gaming. So Gen Zers between the ages of 10 to 25 years old, we do see a lot of investment going towards millennials. And I say Gen Zers because a lot of the activations by consumer brands, especially luxury brands, whether it's on the automotive industry or the retail industry, you're actually seeing sort of integrating on creating experiences in virtual worlds, whether it's, let's say the Gucci brand or Nike, and Louis Vuitton, and against many high-end brands. They're basically creating experiences, but they're very targeted to younger demographics, and there's a reason for that. And then the other thing that we're seeing is a lot of the high income household, including obviously women and men and millennials, are basically, there's a lot of investment going towards those audiences to provide sort of more exclusive experiences in virtual reality, or experiences from, let's say, luxury brands that are able to create virtual experiences to continue to engage with their loyal customers. And then in contrast to that, what we're seeing is, boomers, baby boomers, and sort of low income households, we're seeing they're receiving a much more smaller investment, as opposed to high income household, they're getting anywhere between 9 to 10%, and the same thing for women. As far as the age distribution, which is very important right now, as I mentioned, so sort of the sweet spot right now seems to be in the 21 years old to 35 years old. We also seen that this audience tends to skew a little bit more male, about 60% versus 40% of female audiences. And then the sort of the sweet spot, the 21 to 35, basically represents about 36% of the entire segments within metaverse experiences. And these are people who are actually seeking virtual experiences proactively, as opposed to, let's say 36 to 50 years old, which is more in the 22%. But I think these numbers are very, very important, especially when we're talking about even middle-aged consumers to engage with them, because they are happen to be in, playing games, but at the same time, they are very interested in these virtual experiences in order to make connections with like-minded people and like-minded communities. And not to mention to discover products and services. We are becoming much more rely on every single day on digital tools to have access to products and services. So obviously it's been happening for many years when it comes to Web 2, but the reality is the more time that we're spending in our homes, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but the more time, what we're seeing right now is we're seeing many factors that are keeping people in their homes, whether it's political climates, people are socializing much less. We're also suffering from isolation. And we see this not only in male, but at the same time, we're seeing it across younger generations, less interaction, less physical interaction. And then, unfortunately, the world is a little bit upside down today. And some people are, for instance, shopping less in physical worlds. So these are all factors that we need to look into that and sort of how can we bring real life experiences, which can be accomplished through mixed reality and virtual reality, and bring in and deliver those very same experiences through virtual reality. It's a very, very powerful way of continuing to engage with customers and provide a place where people can shop and have access to products and services, content and communities. Let's see what other things that I can talk about. So one of the things, this is very interesting. This is when it comes to consumers, what kind of experiences consumers do want to have when it comes to virtual reality? So 52% of consumers, again, this is from recent surveys actually that were released now in the month of November. About 52%, they will actually use the metaverse for work-related opportunities and work-related activities, if you will. And obviously, I think this makes absolute sense. Our world was appended due to the COVID pandemic, and behaviorally speaking, most people who have the opportunity to work from home have embraced remote work, even though there are some challenges today. But the reality is, it is a reality that even especially younger generations are reinventing in a way how we approach work and how do we do work. So this trend basically indicates that why this is actually why that 52% people are saying we will use the metaverse for work-related purposes. The other portion is basically art and live entertainment, which basically has a very strong appeal for virtual reality experiences. And about 48% of users actually are interested in having arts related and live entertainment opportunities. And again, this makes sense for so many reasons. As I was talking about earlier, this is a great opportunity for brands to start tapping into their IP or portfolio of IP, whether it's from past artists, musicians, and celebrities and bring them back to life. One of the things that we're seeing a trend is with bands or groups of musicians who are no longer with us. We're seeing that they're being brought back to life through virtual reality concerts, which is, it's pretty much anybody in the music industry, and the same thing for the entertainment industry, can bring shows back, their IP bags, and sort of introduce into younger demographics. We are having, like, it happens in fashion, it happens in pop culture. We're seeing a resurgence of content, whether it's fashion or music from the 80s, being driven by younger demographics, actually, who are very, very much interested in this kind of content. The other one, it's education. Education, again, due to the pandemic, as we saw a big shift, how classes were being taught, and most of them were being done remotely. But I think what it does is virtual reality presents a complete different world of opportunities to develop visualization or visualize complex content and material that is sometimes it is hard to visualize, and whether it's in the medicine vertical, or could be, for science or mathematics. And this is a great way of teaching, right? People can actually see a lot of abstract concepts and ideas, or ideas that can be better articulated in a three-dimensional space, whether it's architecture, can be visualized in virtual realities. And then when it comes to gaming, we already know that sort of, the way when it comes to gaming as a category that people are interested in, we have already seen it time and time again. As a matter of fact, the way I see, the metaverse, a lot of elements in the gamification aspect in terms of interactivity, it's been taken and translated into these new content categories and new worlds. In other words, when you interact in virtual environments, you will gonna start seeing much more of a gamified experience for engaging, whether it's content, 3D assets, or communities. And that's one of the things that we're going to see. And obviously, when we talk today about the metaverse and we talk about the scale of the audiences, we're always referring to, generally speaking, about these gaming platforms, whether it's Roblox or Decentraland, which is not truly gaming, but or Fortnite, right? So when we talk about this too, those are driving a lot of these user base of what we call the metaverse today. And then as far as basically investment by platform, stuff like that, we're really seeing substantial investment by major corporations. Although I do have to say, a lot of the innovation not only will come from these organizations, but will also come from startup companies, which will be the purveyors of different content experiences that will be distributed across goggles or virtual devices, but at the same time through smart televisions as well. But to talk a little bit about the sort of the level of investment that we continue to see, for instance, Epic Games secure about $1 billion in funding, and these are very recent numbers for 2023. Obviously, Epic Games is known for its popular game Fortnite. On the other hand, Meta continues to work on all the different facets of the metaverse, whether it's across software, hardware, and social components. And I will add artificial intelligence to that mixed. Niantic, which is the company behind Pokemon, basically secured $300 million. And then Microsoft obviously made a huge acquisition of Activision Blizzard by basically $68 billion. So we're definitely seeing across not only the gaming sector, but we really are seeing a continuous investment in the metaverse. So in other words, it hasn't died, hasn't disappeared. And we need to pay very, very close attention to this huge investment taking place in the industry, which indicates that the growth, that the metaverse at the end of the day is not dead and it's not going to die, as it is the next iteration of the internet. And then obviously we're all familiar with Decentraland, which takes a much more open, decentralized approach to what the metaverse is supposed to be. So based on all the investment that we've seen in the industry, one of the things that the future trends that we're going to continue to see is that all these organizations are definitely investing for the future. Investing in the metaverse is not a short-term investment. It is a long-term opportunity, not only to start building the environments, but at the same time is we need to sort of see the adoption that is happening over time, and we continue to see that. So for brands, I always like to recommend media organizations that start investing in the metaverse, start selecting your IP that you would like to extend, whether it's from a content perspective, celebrity perspective, or experience perspective, and really identify the right place where your brand can actually play virtually. What value, what utility can bring to your audiences, especially younger audiences who live and spend money already in virtual reality, whether it's gaming or even buying clothes for their avatars. And then shifting that mindset will help tremendously, not only to refocus your business, but at the same time, it will help you to really build a long-term strategy for the business. A lot of the activations that we're seeing today sometimes tend to be one-offs activations that lead to not great results, because the reality is that's what it is. It's a very short-term activation, and it could be great for testing purposes, but the reality is it does not allow you, doesn't give you the time to build out audiences. So with that said, I would like to close my section. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and learn, and that's that. Thank you so much.